GSSSA Senior Boys National Championship starting this Wednesday at 8 p.m. live on Cable 12.
Coming up tonight, some businesses are reportedly already charging VAT.
Any business that's charging VAT is breaking the law.
Tonight, we'll tell you what the State Minister of Finance has to say about that. Skeletal remains found in a Coral Harbor grave. Find out how to add a little flair to your meals.
To allow people to develop their inner chef.
Plus, high school bands preparing for their first showdown next month. We've got those stories and much more for you tonight. I'm Nikia DeVoe, and this is NV12 Weekend. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Topping news this Sunday evening, the government is working to implement value-added tax on July 1st, but some businesses have reportedly jumped the gun and are already charging VAT. We sat down with State Minister for Finance Michael Halkitis, who confirmed that his ministry has also received such reports. Now he's sending a stern warning to business owners.
When it becomes law in the Bahamas, then businesses can charge VAT. Until that time, any business that's charging VAT is breaking the law. And I encourage any consumer who goes to a business and is being charged VAT at this time to report it to the Ministry of Finance.
Our news team was first alerted to the issue when local vendors charged one of our NB12 reporters extra for conch. Several other customers at the Montague Beach ramp were also told that the price of conch jumped from $4 to about $6 due to VAT. Halkitis said he's been told that some bigger licensed businesses are also doing the same. A value-added tax is collected at every stage of the production and distribution chain. Every time an item is sold from one person to another in the chain, the seller charges VAT to the buyer. By the time the product has finally been sold by the retail store to the consumer, the total VAT sent to the government will be exactly the amount of VAT paid by the consumer. But since it is not yet law, businesses are reportedly charging consumers extra, but that money is not being turned over to the government. Halkitis said the government will go after those businesses that are breaking the law.
The VAT is a tax that is collected by registrants on behalf of the government and then passed on to the government. No business should be collecting any VAT at this time from any consumer because you're supposed to be passing on to the government. The VAT is not the law of the land, so it cannot be collected at this time. And so I'd just like to, for any business who is tempted to do it or has been doing it, to cease, and anyone who has been charged it, please report it to the Ministry of Finance so we can take the appropriate action.
But Halkitis stressed that the ministry needs the public's help. He is encouraging anyone who was charged VAT to report it to the ministry immediately, but he says they'll need proof.
And this whole idea of saying to people that, look, we're charging VAT when VAT is not the law is, I find it amazing. So I would, if anybody has been charged and they can prove it and bring the receipt, and we'll obviously investigate, and if we find it to be the case, we have to insist that those businesses cease immediately, because the VAT at this time is not the law and it cannot be charged.
The government has said VAT is necessary to bring down the massive deficit and get the country's spiraling debt situation under control. Ministry of Finance officials estimate that VAT can generate about $200 million in annual revenue. The VAT draft legislation, which was made public back in November, can be found on the government's website. Well, members of the Coalition for Responsible Taxation say they are still awaiting the legislation 5 months away from VAT implementation. They asked if preparation challenges are to blame for the delay in bringing the legislation to Parliament. Noting State Finance Minister Michael Halkitis' suggestion slow public feedback has hindered the process, Bo said many didn't know the government wanted feedback until much later.
A lot of persons didn't realize that there was feedback being solicited until very late in the day. A white paper was pushed out, and at that time it had certain dates, certain things that are being said, but there was no full-blown initiative to start speaking to the consumer, to the business community, and those around.
He said as soon as the business community realized the government was seeking suggestions, those suggestions were made. Among them, according to the coalition, is to collect already existing taxes. Member Denisio Diagler also called for the government to tax web shops.
Over 250 of those shops here, they're untaxed, they're unregulated. And you're coming to me as a businessman, you're telling me that I now must pay or I must charge 15% on my goods and services. And you're ignoring the sector of the economy that's sitting out there, that's just waiting to be taxed and regulated. So get that straight before you come to me.
Coalition co-chairman Robert Myers also voiced concerns over the country's ability to collect existing taxes. He said some businessmen are frustrated by the resulting price increase and feel as though with the VAT implementation, they will be collecting taxes for the government.
It's not an increase in our prices, it's an increase in the price of the goods to the consumer because of the 15% VAT. So my price will remain the same, it's just that the government now wants 15% more. I don't particularly like having to collect the government's tax. I would rather they do their job and let me do mine.
The coalition said it has a meeting with Prime Minister Perry Christie tomorrow over its VAT concerns. Well, after revealing his potential plan to challenge opposition leader Hubert Minnis for F&M leadership whenever the party has its next convention, Dr. Dwayne Sands' announcement was met with mixed reaction. In response to one of the harsher critics, the deputy chairman of the F&M explained to our news team he remains unaffected by the remarks. Dana Smith has the details.
In the wake of his announcement, Sands was denounced as a failed candidate, according to one media report. But Sands said politicians should always expect both positive and negative comments.
There's no question politics in the Bahamas is a contact sport. And sometimes it seems almost like a mixed martial art competition. And sometimes the blows get thrown really, really hard. You know, I've been involved in frontline politics now for more than 5 years. And so you get used to it. There's a saying, dogs don't bark at parked cars.
On Jeffrey Lloyd's Guardian radio talk show this past Wednesday, Sands, who serves as the F&M's deputy chairman, said he is considering challenging current F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis for that position. A day after that announcement, a local daily attributed to an anonymous party insider comments that Sands was a failed candidate, a reference to the Elizabeth constituency loss in the 2012 general election and the 2010 by-election. Sands was not interested in responding to that comment directly. He explained his allegiance to the F&M is more important than getting into a public altercation with any party members.
Certainly, I have no interest at all in getting in a public tit for tat in the Free National Movement. My party, which is the better choice for this country, is far more important than any personal agenda that I certainly may have.
Sands added party members have a right to speak their minds, and that is part of what makes the Free National Movement so strong.
The difference with the Free National Movement is that, you know, we don't have a problem speaking our minds. And there is no gag on members of the Free National Movement.
As for if he's still considering a bid for party leadership, Sands explained a negative response to his comments will not necessarily discourage him. He explained it will only spur him to contribute more, not only to his party, but the country at large.
Contrary to the view that a negative pushback might make you less inclined, a negative pushback says that, okay, yes, we do have some challenges and you need to work more at being a part of the solution to make not only your party as good as it can be.
During that radio talk show interview, Sands also said he has not made a final decision regarding party leadership as yet. For NB12 Weekend, I'm Dana Smith.
In other news, skeletal human remains were discovered in a shallow grave in a remote area of Coral Harbor yesterday, and now police are seeking the identity of the adult male. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson said they don't know who the man is or the circumstances surrounding his death. We're told officers received a call around 5:30 last evening after someone made the gruesome discovery.
The partially decomposed body of a human being was seen on the eastern end near the sea at Coral Harbor. As a result of this information, officers from the Southwestern Division and other uniform officers responded and confirmed what they saw.
Crime scene investigators and officers from the Central Detective Unit scoured the area last night looking for clues that would help them with their investigation. Police say the man was buried in a white t-shirt, a pair of light gray pants with a white cloth belt, and a pair of blue, red, and white Nike Air Jordan sneakers. They're asking anyone with any information regarding this discovery to contact police immediately.
Once the body was unearthed, from all indication it appears to be the remains of a male. The circumstances surrounding this incident is sketchy and no further details. This investigation is in its early stages, and as we develop more answers, as we probe, we will be more than happy to provide you with further information.
Now, police say an autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death. Another group of poachers caught red-handed in Bahamian waters. Defense Force officers arrested 40 Dominican poachers for illegal fishing yesterday. According to a statement released by the force, the poachers were on board a 70-foot vessel approximately 75 nautical miles south of Andros with an undetermined amount of fisheries product on board. The vessel and its occupants will be brought to New Providence and handed over to the relevant authorities for processing. Now, this latest arrest comes just under 2 months after 50 Dominican poachers were arrested off of the Great Bahama Bank. According to officials, poachers remove millions of dollars worth of shellfish and spiny lobster from Bahamian waters each year. But Dominican poachers aren't the only people fishing Bahamian waters illegally. Authorities are also reporting that the crews of 4 Bahamian fishing vessels were fined $12,000 for breach of the Fisheries Act. According to police, sometime between February 5th and February 7th, 4 Bahamian fishing vessels were apprehended by police and Defense Force officers in Bimini after the captain and crew were found using an apparatus in prohibited areas and were processing undersized crawfish. The fishermen were brought before the island administrator where they were fined.